Hello everyone, what's going on? I'm Gav, the Master974 back again today, and welcome to another Source Shorts video. And today I'm going to show you how you can change the brass effects for weapons. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, when you fire a weapon, you should get this shell that gets ejected out of the gun. It's a temporary entity, and you can change what they are. So for example, there's the 9mm shells, rifle shells, and shotgun shells. And this video is suggested by 3-VZ8DT, and if you cringed at that, don't worry, I did as well. But they wanted to know how you can change the SMG brass from the 9mm shells to the rifle shells, but also how to make it so when you fire the shotgun with the double attack, essentially, that you actually end up getting 2 shells getting ejected and not just 1. So what you need to do for this is to use a tool like Crowbar. Now, I'm not going to be going into the details of that in this video because I've already done a video about that in the past. Even though that is specifically for Half-Life 2 beta view models, it also applies to Half-Life 2 retail models. So you'd follow that Hammer Tutorial 19.5 video that I did in the past to get the SMG view model and the shotgun view model. But when you do that, you'd get these .qc files. So for example, you'd have v_shotgun.qc, which I'll open up, and also v_smg1.qc. Now they've loaded up on a different monitor, so let's just get that over here, zoom in a bit, and get to the changes. So what you want to do is scroll down a little bit, and you'd see that we have sequence fire 01 related to ActVM primary attack. And you'll see it does these animation events, one for a muzzle flash and one for 6001. Now this relates to the eject brass effect, and normally this is a 0, but I've changed it to a 1, so I've already made the changes already. So basically event 6001 is the eject brass event, and this 0 is the number of frames to wait before this event happens, and this is like the input, for example. So in this case, 0 is the 9mm shells, 1 is the rifle shells, and 2 is the shotgun shells. So what you want to do is for all these animation events, like ActVM recoil 1, 2, and so on, you just want to replace the 0 in speech marks with a 1 in speech marks. And you don't need to worry about any other changes in the file. Those are the only changes you need to make. And then you need to compile this .qc file using Crowbar, and then make sure that you get the actual view model in your mod in the correct folder. You don't need to worry, Crowbar will handle all of that if you just, point to your mod's root folder, because it will know that the weapon needs to go to models, weapons, and that it will just know to do that. But that's what you would do for the SMG1. And for the shotgun, there's actually 2 different approaches you could take. There's a non-coded method and a coded method. So if you want my opinion for the non-coded method, what you would do is, for example, in this pump animation here, you'd see that it does event 6001, and after 5 frames, it passes through an input of 2, which is the shotgun, shell ejection. So you could copy that and put it into, for example, this alt fire sequence up here, like so. And you can probably change the frame number as well. But what this will do is essentially as soon as you fire, the secondary attack, a shell will come out, and then when you pump, a second shell will come out. So this is what you do if you don't have access to the code to make the change. However, I'm going to work on the assumption that you do have the code to make a change, in which case you could do something like this, which is to create a second pump animation and essentially copy paste the animation event so that you get 2 shells ejected at once. But then you might be wondering, what the hell's this? Act SMG2 Fire 2, what's that all about? Well, that's because you can't use Act Shotgun Pump, and doing something like adding Act Shotgun Pump 2 would just be too much effort to do, because you have to add code to 3 different places, and it's a bit too much. So what you can do is essentially use an activity that never gets used in conventional circumstances, like for example SMG2 Fire 2, because the SMG2 was taken out of the game. So you can use that activity But then you need to refer to that in the code to refer to this pump 2 sequence. That's going to cause these 2 shell ejections to happen. So what I need to do is go into my Visual Studio, which I have right here. And to do something like that, you need to do something like this. So I created a bool called m_b should double eject, which plays a special pump animation. And then I declared it in the data desk like so, just define field as a field boolean. And then inside of the pump function, do if m_b should double eject, then do the standard act shotgun pump. Otherwise, if it's true, then we do send weapon anim of act smg fire 2, which was in the .qc file. Then set that to be false, so that way we don't end up going in here again if we do a normal attack afterwards. And then, for example, in which is this file, secondary attack, yes. Then we set that to be true because we did a secondary attack, so you want to do a double eject. And also in the constructor, we just set it to be false immediately. So really the important thing is that we set it to be true in the secondary attack function, and then we call upon the specialized activity in the pump function. So we can launch into a map for testing purposes. My mouse has been really screwed up lately, so I just need to I need to go into the game, which is going to take a second. I'm sorry, I'm not prepared. I've not done this for a little bit. Alright, there we go. So it's loaded that okay. So we can load up something like SDK vehicles. And then what we can do is impulse 101. And when we use something like the SMG, I apologize, I had a frog in my throat for a second. We can see that when we fire it, we have the rifle shells coming out, not the SMG shells. So if you wanted to make that change, then that is what you would do. But also for the shotgun, if we do a single attack, then we can see 1 shell ejection happens. And if we double attack, then we get 2 ejections like so. And you can kind of see the 2 ejections happen right there. Now, the one thing I found out that, is a bit of a bug almost, is if you use the double attack with 2 shells left, then because you reload, you do the normal pump animation. So that's still a bit of an issue. However, I guess most people probably won't even realize that because you might not have even realized that was an issue in the first place. But yeah, that's what you can do to make these changes happen. So let me know what you think about this in the comment section down below. I apologize if I screwed up with this video. I always do screw up with these videos, but hopefully it's not too bad. You can follow along with what I did and you can make these changes for yourself. So as always, have a great day. Peace out. See you later. See you for the next video, whatever it is. Have a great day and take care out there.